Action on Depression Week Scotland is going on at the moment, and that's you can hear somebody in the background being quite excited. But for our campaign week, Angela, our focus is very much on encouraging people to take one action on depression, whether that's for themselves or to help a friend or a loved one. Just thinking about you personally, when you're trying to kind of de-stress and relax, what sort of action, what would you do, what makes you relax?
I think the very important thing is if you've got something on your mind is to speak to someone about it, whether that's a family member, friend, colleague. Depression is a very common disorder. It affects 1 in 4, 1 in 5 individuals. We know that if people do take action, that people do recover from depression, and that's very important. But of course, as you say, many of us, not just politicians, have very stressful lives. The world of work for any profession can be a hard place. Life throws up its difficulties for many people, whether it's personal problems, unemployment, health problems, family problems. Speaking at a very personal level, I do always try and have a little bit of time to myself each day, even if it's just half an hour watching some really rubbish TV at night. I find that helps me switch off and it helps me sleep better. I quite often do my paperwork late at night when my 3.5-year-old is in his bed. It's quite a good opportunity for me to do my paperwork. But the downside of that is it can make sleeping harder, so I always need to finish my paperwork well in advance of actually going to bed. So I find a bit of junk TV tends to help empty my head a bit.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's a good one for a lot of people. I mean, for you personally, then you find that you need to plan in to have that space in the day that's kind of for you, really, that it's not going to be work or something that.
Yeah, and it's just sometimes time where actually you don't have to even think about anything in particular, and that's helpful. In the summer months, the lighter nights, lighter mornings, I do try and squeeze in a little bit of exercise. Okay. That has become much harder since I was appointed a minister, and I've only been on the treadmill a few times post the election, not as often as I would like, but I do find running quite helpful as well. It's just my way of being able to process things that are going through my mind and things that are happening in my life.
Okay, so that helps you to really switch off. You're focused on the on the run and on the world around you and so on as well.
I'm no athlete, I have to stress that. I'm absolutely no athlete, but I do like a bit of fresh air.
Okay, sure. And one of the services that Action on Depression provides in the community, Angela, is a self-help based course, and a lot of the approach of the course isn't to tell people what to do and go off and do this and you'll be fine, but it's to kind of introduce skills and things that people can use, practical things to help themselves. So I mean, I just wondered, is that type of self-help, those sort of self-help tools, is that an approach that you would endorse as being helpful?
Absolutely, most certainly. It is a tool that I would endorse. Speaking from my previous professional experience as a mental health officer, but also as a constituency MSP, I meet many constituents who battle with depression. I've known family members, of my own family that I've had to cope with depression as well. And one of the things that strike me, while some people benefit from the more therapeutic talking therapies, what some people actually need is very pragmatic advice about how to cope or how to help them find the ways that suit them at a practical level to cope with the challenges of day-to-day life. And some people prefer a more pragmatic approach as opposed to one where they may be ruminating on things that have troubled them, and they're actually looking for a roadmap, skills, a bit of structure in life that actually helps them, whether it's keep themselves busy, recognise their own signs and symptoms when things are going in a downward spiral. But in my experience, I think people are looking for pragmatic help and advice.
Okay, thanks very much, Angela.
No,
I would maybe just kind of finally ask, in terms of again thinking about people affected by depression, anxiety, and you with your kind of mental health background experience, and you speak to a lot of your constituents, as you mentioned, who kind of face this. I mean, I wonder if you could maybe say something about the role of services and information being out in the community itself, so that people can access that, because that's something again we attempt to provide and to partner up with other organisations in order to give people that.
I do still think there's a job to do eradicating stigma on both depression and mental health. You do less so now, but you do still hear people say, "Oh, you should just pull yourself together, just get on with things, pick yourself up." We do still have to, increase awareness that depression is a bona fide disorder and a bona fide illness. It's not people, deciding to be depressed. It's something. It's the same in that regard as any other illness. So we do have to, do more to, educate people about what depression actually is. And in that regard, I feel the support Action on Depression and the campaign week that's been held all over Scotland and in Carmondine and in Livingston particularly.
Okay, Angela, thank you very much indeed for talking to me.